All right, we are live for another Market Update Monday here on the Arrow Title Services page, and we are so excited to be back with some information on the real estate market with local realtors along the Treasure Coast here who are going to share their big brains in real estate with you guys. We like to give updates on just what's kind of going on. There is quite a bit going on, as we all know. So if you guys ever have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. We will answer them here, but we are going to pick the brains of these local real estate professionals on just what is going on here in our local market. So make sure if you guys aren't already following these local realtors that you do so. In the description of this video, you can find their Facebook pages, and they always have great information going on there. And then we host this every other week. And you guys can feel free to watch the replays on our YouTube channel, Arrow Title Services. So let's get into the market, though. It is booming, as we all know, and let's talk about those numbers and everything. Can't wait to hear from you guys all, and we will start it off with Mr. Joe Rosen himself. Take it away, Joe. You are muted. There
we go. How you doing? Lucy, I appreciate you for welcoming me on. And I'll tell you right now, it's crazy. We've heard a lot of people. I actually just did a video on this last week where people have been saying the market's softening. It's getting a little bit cooler, right? And I thought, man, I'm not seeing that, but we're all in our own little bubble, so why not check it out statistically? And when I ran this number about a month or two ago, I found that when we looked at the inventory rate, there were 17 and a half days of homes on the market, right? So an inventory rate is if we were to stop listing homes today, no more new listings, and we sold at the rate that we've been selling at in the last 30 days, how long would it take to get through those listings? An average market is about 3 to 4 months. Anything more than 4 months is a pretty good buyer's market. Anything less than 3 is a pretty good seller's market. 17 and a half days is ridiculous. So I looked at it and I said, okay, what are we seeing now in this market now that people are saying it's cooling off? And I'm seeing 18 days. So it's literally almost exactly the same as it was a month or two ago. I'm not seeing any change at all with how hot or cold the market is. It's exactly the same. And if I had to guess why people are saying this, because it's a pretty common thing I'm hearing. I bet if you ask these guys here too, Katey and Demitri, they'd tell you they've heard these rumors too. But when it comes down to it, I think a lot of buyers and a lot of buyers agents, people who solely work with buyers, or the majority of their business is buyers, they're getting frustrated, right? And that frustration leads to saying things that you feel but aren't necessarily true. So it's really important as a professional to know what's actually happening, not just how we feel, so that when you go in there and you're presenting offers, if you're presenting offers based on the fact that you think the market's cooled and it hasn't, that's going to be challenging for you and your buyer, right? But if you can come and be realistic and you know statistically what the market's looking like, it just makes that offer so much stronger. So right now, I'm seeing the same surge in all of the sales that we saw just a handful of months ago. It's the strongest market I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. That is a good reflection on what's going on in our market. And there are just so many facets, and so many people are talking about what's going on in our market. But when you look at the nitty gritty details of it all, I mean, it can really speak for itself sometimes. So I'm glad that you shared that with us. And I think Katey is next, and she has some numbers that she'll be sharing with us too. So go ahead and Katey, take it away. Tell us from your perspective what you are seeing.
Hey, Lucy, thank you so much for inviting me back. I do love sharing information with you guys. And Joe is spot on. So every market has its own story. And within those markets, there are markets. So we have individual county information that we look at. We have individual zip code information we look at, and also the pricing. So when you're talking about the market, you have to be very specific about which market are we talking about. Are we talking about luxury homes? Are we talking about affordable homes? Not so much affordable right now. But so getting into it, we cover Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County with our office of 12 agents. So a little broader spectrum. Florida, like the USA Olympians, right, are breaking records, right? Florida's breaking records all over, left and right. We had a record spring buying season, and yes, there may be some cooling on maybe a general vision of the market. I agree with Joe. There is a segment of our market that's just continuing to catch fire, and it's on diesel fuel flames, and it's not really changing all that much. What I would like to make some comparisons about at the state level, single family homes sales up 25%, 23% over 2020, 25% over 2019, which is like our last normal statistics that we point to. Martin County single family homes, talking specifically Martin County, up 13% over 2020, June of 2020. So what does that mean? Numbers, blah, blah, blah. All right, so state median sale price, $351,000. Martin County single family home median sale price, $410,000. So St. Lucie County, we can speak to that probably. Maybe Demitri will bring that up. According to people that are a lot smarter than me, those economists out there, they're saying that the pending sales peaked in March of 2021, and that the ratio of buyers to sellers is trending to a more balanced level. So what that means is less frustration for the buyers. Hopefully there will be less competition in the market, but we don't know. So we were trying to look into this crystal ball. In addition to what we've seen, right? We can only base it on what we've seen. We're also, this is a really interesting piece of the market. I hope Demitri also talks about this. Cash buyers, right? So 7 out of the top 10 cities for cash sales are in Florida. Let me say that again. The 7 of the top cities in the United States for the highest number of cash sales in real estate are in Florida. So Palm Beach, Palm Bay, Northport, Cape Coral, Port St. Lucie. So we're talking both markets that, when we're talking cash sales, we're talking the best of times and the average of times. So the luxury home market, we're seeing those properties are selling for cash. And then we're seeing properties under $400,000 selling for cash. And we're talking, a big segment of that market, which indicates at the 400 and less market that, typically these buyers at the $400,000 are at that first-time home buyer or the move-up stage. They're typically not paying cash, full cash for a property. So that indicates that there are investors in those markets, which surround us here in Florida. So I don't want to take up too much time. Numbers, what does it mean? We try to, give you the overview and then what it means at the ground level. But absolutely talk to your real estate professional and look at the numbers that work for your specific neighborhood, your specific price range, and your specific scenario. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Katey. Great insight there. And we stress this all the time, right, on our live calls, is that using a local professional that knows the local area, that knows what's going on. A lot of people are looking at all of the information that's coming through to them from a national level or even a state level, whatever it might be. But it really breaks down differently sometimes, a lot of the time, when you're looking at that local area and how that market is reacting to the people who are coming into it. We have a lot of people coming here from out of state. There's so many things affecting our market. And sometimes people think it's like one thing that's affecting it, and it's like literally 40 different things affecting our market. So talking to the local real estate professionals in our local market here is really the key to understanding kind of what's going on. And any of the professionals on this call will be able to help you with that. But that's why it's such a great conversation to have every Monday that we come on here. So thank you for giving a little bit of insight into that for us, Katey. And we will pass it along to Demitri and see what he is going to add to the conversation, which I'm sure will be just as valuable, and just seeing what you're seeing as well.
All righty. Well, thank you, Katey, for segueing to me to bring some of that points that you brought out to a little more information. So as I was listening to everybody, I was thinking how New York City is the melting pot for the world to come to realize their dream in the U.S. and that is where most of the young people go. Well, for New York City's melting pot, Florida is the retirement melting pot for the world. And all the people who have their properties that are selling it ready to go for a little bit slower time in their life are moving here to Florida. We have such great weather. We have such great opportunities of things to do in during the day, during the weekends. There's always activity happening here. And I think that leads into the fact that a lot of the people that are moving here are coming from states whose properties are really expensive. And so the cash that they have from selling their properties allows them to be cash buyers here in Florida. And we certainly are seeing a lot more cash buyers. We're also seeing that the buy, because of such a low inventory, the way to be competitive and actually get that purchase that you want is to be a cash buyer. And so I've had quite a few buyers who would have normally financed change their strategy. They're using cash to go ahead and buy, and then after they've moved in, then just refinancing the house to replenish their cash. So because they have that cash up front, I think one of the other things that was possible is that people were able to pull 100 grand out of their 401k plans that they normally couldn't access without a penalty or taxes because of the pandemic. They were able to get access to that money, and as long as they pay it back over the next 3 years, they're good. So they gave them the opportunity to have that additional cash, be a cash buyer, and like I said, refinance and then replenish that money. I do see that I deal with a lot of buyers. I have a very large database of buyers, and I do a lot of communication to them. And many of the buyers, just this past week, I probably sent out, almost 2,000 text messages to my buyers. And a high majority of those people came back and said, yeah, we are sitting on the sidelines. We're kind of waiting because the market has gone so crazy. We don't feel like we can compete right now. And they're, sometime in the future. So right now, I think that we are seeing somewhat of a leveling out, and probably those statistics that say our number of buyers to the number of sellers are getting a little more even. Part of that is fueled because so many buyers at this moment, they actually are a buyer, but they're a buyer in the future because they're sitting on the sidelines for now. So I think we're going to have a strong number of buyers for many years, or at least the next 2 years, I think, are there. And as properties come on the market, there's going to be somebody ready to jump and buy that property. I think the other thing I have noticed is a lot of the inventory that's out there right now, that what is left are a lot of houses that need either updates or total rehabs, that they're the 1970s or 60s version of grandma's house. They're not, what people are looking for today. And so they look at that house and they go, man, I got to spend another $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to bring this up to what I really want in a house. So a lot of that we are seeing staying a little bit longer on the market, even though the market is very hot. So there's my 2.5 cents this time. I gave you 2 cents the last time. There's 2.5.
Well, thanks for the extra half, Demitri. We appreciate it. Oh gosh, such great insight from all of you guys. If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about our local market here along the Treasure Coast. There is just so much going on, and we always open this up to a discussion portion after everyone's kind of spoken, to see if anybody has anything else to add. We do a Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate, which is like kind of from the buyer side of things on specific topics in real estate. But when we do this, we kind of get it from like the seller's point of view, and like kind of what's going on from that point of view from a seller's perspective, because a lot of times sellers maybe don't know what they're actually getting into when they get into this market, which is a lot. And some people think it's going to be easier than there's different stressors on different sides, right, on different aspects. So anybody who wants to add into the conversation, anything, bring up a point that someone else brought up and maybe elaborate, feel free to jump right on in.
Yeah, I'll jump in. One thing that we've been seeing a lot of lately, and it's really been a COVID thing. I'm not saying it's never happened, but I've really seen it pop up a lot, is every seller knows that it's a seller's market right now. So we're having a lot of challenges from a buyer's perspective, especially when we get, and I'm picking on down south agents right now, we get Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm agents. They either won't even come up here to show the properties, or they will show them. They'll show 5 properties. They'll put 5 offers in. Right? They'll get 3 of the offers accepted, and then they'll pick which one they want because they've got inspection contingencies on all of them. And I point blank asked an agent if that's what they were doing, and they said, of course we're doing that. Why wouldn't we do that? So the challenge right now is, if you're in the seller's perspective, how do you maintain that leverage you've got, that strong market, knowing that you're going to get buyers to come in, give you these wonderful offers that are $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over. They got a lot of appraisal shortage coverage. They got all these wonderful things in them, but they've got an inspection contingency so they can walk. Every seller wants to nicely allow that inspection. Nobody's trying to hide anything. At least I've never had a seller who's telling me, Joe, I want to secretly hide these things. They want to do it, but they don't want to allow you an out for something small. So what we've been doing is working with DBJ Inspections here. They're a big inspection company, or whatever inspection company you're comfortable with, getting that inspection done for a few $100s before you put it on the market, Fix the big things if there are big things. Take those professional receipts, staple them to the report, and present that report on the MLS so every agent showing it can see it. Now, as a listing agent, when I'm getting 7 offers, I can dangle that report and say, hey, if you can get this contingency off, now we're in business. And if you're not going to take it off, that tells me we've got a red flag here with you. So that's one little tip that's worked for me when it comes to dealing with a lot of these buyers from down south.
That's great insight right there, Joe, and a great tip too for sellers to kind of, I think it's always been very apprehensive for some sellers to actually to put that money out there, but it's totally worth it if you want to make it, it's a small price to pay.
It's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else wants to chime in on that?
I'll chime in on that. So Joe, I might be at fault teaching a lot of people to put in multiple offers and get it until you go back. So you have the house. If you walked into it, you can buy it because you've already got a contract on it. And I realize that from the seller standpoint, that's there, but that's typically we only put 3 or 5 days on the contingency. And if a seller had that inspection already done ahead of time, I don't see a problem with that at all. That's an awesome idea. So I do like that. I think the other thing as far as sellers, a lot of times we sit there with a seller and we're giving them a number, they got a number, we kind of compromise in the middle sometimes of where we go, but having that inspection report kind of solidifies for them from a third party, somebody outside of us who say, hey, here's the things you got to do. These are the expenses that you've got to look forward to, whether you handle it before you sell it or whether your buyer is going to find out about it and want to get a discount. It gets those on the table up front and allows us to either update the listing information and change the price accordingly so it's all realistic for all parties and that we can get a successful transaction out of it. I think that's all great stuff to do. So, I think I want to go back to sellers for just a second, not that we left them too far behind, but the one issue with inventory and sellers is that their biggest thing, unless it's a second property, if it's their primary residence, unless they're moving out of area, and even if they are moving out of area, the dilemma that they have is, where do I go? I sell my property, I get a great price for it, but then what? So that's the big question for sellers. You got to ask, you got to answer that then what, so that they feel comfortable to go ahead and put their house on the market. And I think that is one of the things that is holding back the inventory, is because sellers realize, hey, if the buyers are stuck, can't buy houses, when I become a buyer, I'm going to be in the same position. So I better stick with what I have. So
that is very common, Demitri. Working as a listing agent, certainly, we consult with the sellers to, of course, get a pre-listing inspection. That's always a great idea, especially if it's a larger home with a pool and potentially, an older roof or something like that. To have that inspection report available is absolutely helpful. What we do when we list as well, when we talk to sellers, we talk to them about not only disclose any material defects that they have any clue about, but also to provide us with the age of all the appliances, to provide us with as much information as possible so a buyer can make a swift and informed decision on making an offer on that property. Very much to what Joe's talking about. You have multiple buyers maybe making multiple offers on properties because they are feeling the pinch, and some of them are panic buying. I've seen it. So they just want to lock it in, and then they'll figure out the rest in the next 7 to 10 days. In addition to us getting the pre-listing inspection, we always like to say you're going to get if you want tip-top dollar, we've got to be in tip-top condition. So let's get it into tip-top condition. If you're not aware of how to do that, let's get an inspection on the property. If you are not a hands-on mechanical individual taking care of your property, then let's get a professional to come in and give us a snapshot of what that condition looks like, so that we can repair any of those items that may come up on an inspection, and certainly disclose if there's something that you're just not willing to repair. We know about it. We have to disclose it. We'll find a buyer that will be willing to deal with it. Most likely cash if it's a larger ticket item. But absolutely good information, guys.
Yeah, I want to follow that up too with because we've been talking about inspectors and looking at what a house is. But I think as far as a seller, especially if you've got a higher end house, it is worth the money to have an interior designer or a professional stager come in and take a look at the house and say, hey, look, you got to get rid of this clutter over here. We need to move these items out. We need to take these items out. So like you say, tip top includes not just the physical condition of the house, but it also includes what does it look like when you walk in? Because you have to imagine that most buyers that walk into a house, this is the first time they're seeing it. They're there for 20 minutes tops in most cases. They do not have the vision to be able to look at it and go, well, this room, if I rearranged it this way, would look really nice for me. So you need to have that, just like we say, curb appeal from the outside. Well, you better have inside appeal as well. And it's well worth, like I said, interior designer or professional stager to come in and say, this is what you need to do to make this tip top.
Absolutely. And with that first impression, those first impressions mean even more right now because a lot of people aren't even able to get into these houses. Before with the market, you used to be able to go into 10 houses, 5, 10 houses and go and see these houses and kind of, oh, this is different. And I think that process is really important for a buyer too, because they don't look at houses every day like we do. We look at houses all day long. We're like, nah, like we know, but they don't know. So then when they get into the house and they don't even really know what to look for. So that those first impressions really, really do matter, even more so now because they're going into less houses. For a lot of times we're like, they have listings scheduled or whatever it might be, or listings, showing scheduled, and then they end up getting canceled because they end up taking a contract before they can get into the house. So there's so many facets of what's going on. And I also want to bring up a point too, because we've seen a lot in our market as well, some people who are trying to sell houses on their own. And it's, such a disservice to themselves to be doing that in this market. I know that people think that everything's flying off the shelves. It's like, it's going to be easy. So it's way harder than you think it is, which is why it's so important. Look at all the gems that each of these realtors just dropped on how to make it make your property showcase the best to anybody who is going to see your property. If you think there is so much more that they have to offer, and realtors do so much behind the scenes. And I think that, even though the process is really quick, when you have a lot of deals coming in, we have 20 contracts coming in on your house, you don't look at contracts every single day. How do you decipher which one's, the best offer for you? There's so many pieces to the puzzle. And I just want to throw it out there because we have seen, some for sale by owners and such like that. And I know that people think it's easy, but it's really, there's so much more that goes into it. And you lose money when you don't use a realtor. There's so much value that comes from these realtors, which is why we want to come on. That's why we do these Market Update Mondays to show you guys just how much is going into our market, what's kind of changing, what's moving, because it's changing every second of every day. And the last year and a half, nobody expected this from the last year and a half. Nobody. I could tell nobody did at the beginning of COVID. We had premises that certain things were going to happen, but nobody thought it was going to ramp up to the point in which it's ramped up to. We were talking about this. We started Market Update Monday in April of last year, and we had local realtors talking about kind of what things were going on. And we had ideas of things, we thought there was going to be a little bit of a rush, but I don't think this is beyond what we all thought it was going to be. But it's going, and we are making it. There are so many reasons as to why our market and our local market here along the Treasure Coast is doing so well, because it's a very word of mouth area. People are learning about this area, and it's a beautiful place to live. If you live here, we don't need to convince you if you already live here. So it is a gem along the Treasure Coast here. It's a treasure, and we all know that. So it's great to get you guys' feedback on that. Thank you guys so much. If you guys are just tuning in now, make sure you guys rewatch the portion that we just went over with these local professionals who just dropped gems on just what is going on in our market right now, what sellers are seeing, different strategies that people are seeing in the market right now. It's always great information from them, and you can always reach out to them or just follow them on their Facebook pages to keep up to date as to what's going on. Feel free to like us and them. They're tagged in the description of this video. And we're going to go into the next portion of this. We always talk about what's going on in the market, and then we talk about what's on the market. So if any of these realtors have listings that are coming up, which can sometimes be few and far between, we're going to talk about those and just what they're seeing, or maybe comparisons, because it's always good to see what these houses are actually going for in our local market here. So we'll start off with Joe. Joe, do you have anything to share with us in regards to listings or anything like that?
I don't know if I'm happy or sad to say this, but we've had 29 listings this year, and they're all either sold or pending. So I have nothing to offer anybody at this time. Tomorrow I will, but it'll probably be good for about 12 hours. So you'll have to call me tomorrow if you want to know. But no, I'm going to pass it right over to Katey.
Alrighty.
I am going to share my screen.
And that's another, while Katey's doing that, that's another good reason to, follow local realtors in the area like these, because like Joe's saying, he's going to have something tomorrow and it'll be on his Facebook page if you don't doubt it. So I'll go ahead and share. There's Katey's screen right there. Beautiful.
Is it full screen?
Yeah, I can make it full screen.
On my end, is it full screen?
It was.
Oh, is
there
it?
you go. There you go.
I can't see anything
There
else.
you go.
All right. So down into Cuesta, we have a new listing. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath built in 1962. So we're talking about grandma's old house, right? In Cuesta, beautiful little area. It's been on the market for just a couple of days. We had an open house, had a ton of people through it. It is fairly staged well. There are a couple little projects that could be done in this property. Asking price is $450. Can you believe it? $450 for this beautiful piece of property in Cuesta, just off of Cuesta Drive, very popular area. It is 1,123 square feet under air. Again, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath at $450. No garage on this. Great little backyard and shed, fenced. And in order to see this property, we do need to have some notice because it is occupied with pets. And also we want to make sure that we can get everyone up out of the way. So we do need a little bit of time to get into this property. This is a concrete block home. It's kind of like old Florida, kind of cool. Yeah, there's a great space for entertaining. That living room, dining room space sort of opens up into another living space. You've got a lot of room to run. You've got a great backyard there. And, like I said, we cover from sort of the northern side of Palm Beach County through Martin, St. Lucie, Indian River County. We do have another listing in Port St. Lucie. We can save that for next week if you'd like. Have Jennifer come on and show you all about that one. But this is at 371 Saturn Ave, again in Cuesta, $450. It's a 3-2 concrete block, 1561 under air. And give us a shout if you would like to see this property. We do have a lot of pictures online, but pictures don't always do it justice. So we want to make sure that if you want to see this property, we'll get you into it. Just give us a little bit of notice. We'll be happy to get you into the property, get all the pets and people out of the way.
Perfect. Thank you, Katey. And those floors in there are beautiful.
Terrazzo.
Yeah, floors are important.
And there's also some vinyl, the luxury vinyl flooring in there.
Ooh.
So, yeah, we love terrazzo. You just can't kill it. You can cover it, but you can't kill
it. With Oh, love that. Thank you, Katey, for sharing. Always good to see the listings and kind of what they're going for in our area and such. So I always love seeing pictures of homes. So thank you, Katey, for sharing that. Demitri, do you have anything that you'd like to share?
I don't have anything to show because, like Joe, all of our listings are sold as well. And I do have some coming up, but, they're days or a week or so away because they've got stuff they're finishing up to get it ready. One thing I would like to mention, maybe I'll share an additional tip as far as why should you get your real estate professional. I know, a lot of times people think, well, they're going to help us sell our house faster or better or get us more money or all of that. I think that one of the real things that really plays that people don't really notice is that the real estate professional a lot of times provides kind of that even keel sanity as the transaction goes along. Many things happen from the time that we get a contract to the time that we close, that you have lots of emotions that a buyer and a seller have, that you put those two together and that just creates a battle. By having your real estate professional in there, you have a seasoned person who's experienced many, many things and probably experienced whatever issue is coming up multiple times and has solutions that will make sense and are palatable for both parties. So it's really good to have think of us as that really easy mediator, that easy uncle or aunt to talk to when your parents upset you, that you always seem to find a solution and a way to move forward. So that, I think, is a tremendous value for people to consider having their real estate professional on their team.
Absolutely, Demitri. That's a great point to bring up. It is so pertinent, just with all of those hats that you guys wear on a daily basis. So I think we all can agree that we all wear multiple hats in this real estate industry, and it's really important to be guided by local professionals who know how to navigate those waters, because I think we can all say every real estate transaction is different and unique to its own.
Lucie, do you remember us saying that we are like the emotional steward? We are your real estate. We are your real estate transaction Sherpa. We will get you. We know the path. We know everyone along the path to get you where you need to be. We have a solution for almost every problem that arises. So absolutely, the power of a professional network and the power of knowledge and expertise in the market is there is no substitute for experience and knowledge.
Absolutely. And I'll make a point too that, I know that things are getting what seems like it's easier with everything going online. But there's, like Katey said, there's no substitute for the experience that these local professionals have in our area. And there's so many terminologies that are thrown out there that people can get confused with. There's if little things are going that come up in the process, those professionals that you're working with, they have those solutions. They have those people to connect you with, so you don't have to think about it. And it's going to feel like there's a rush of all these different aspects coming at you when you are a buyer or even a seller, and having that support system behind you of people who know what's going on. We deal with this every single day. It's just there's no comparing to it. So absolutely love that, and glad that we can hammer that message in for anybody who's watching. If you guys are watching right now, we did just go over some of the listings that we're seeing in the area. We talked about the market and just what's going on and how things are kind of changing and ebbing and flowing in our local real estate market here along the Treasure Coast. These local realtors who are here with us, we are so thankful that they come on to share their big brains and all of what they're doing on a daily basis to be able to provide value for you guys, so that you guys have a better insight onto what's going on from our everyday knowledge that we're running into. So if you guys ever have any questions, you guys can always feel free to drop a comment or reach out to the local professionals on here. We just do this to educate you guys and help you guys out, putting it out there to the public. So if there's anybody who has any announcements that they'd like to make, because we all got different changes, everything is happening in the real estate market pretty fast, or any tips that they'd like to share before we end this, feel free to chime on in.
Yeah, we've got a really cool networking event that we're doing. It's for real estate, right? So the real estate industry. So if you're a realtor or a lender or title or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can come on in. It's going to be on August 7th, and we're doing a luau. There is no business going on at all. There's no training. There's no value. There's just drinks and a pig, and that's it. When you come in, you're going to get laid, and you're going to have a good time. That's right, Lucie. And that's it. So if you want tickets to that, let me know, and I can either DM them to you or text them to you or whatever, and we can get you in there.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. Always a great time. You always throw a great party, as anyone on the Treasure Coast knows. I saw Katey unmute too, and do you have something you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I think it's exciting that our Florida Realtors has created a form for the escalation clause. So these realtors out there can stop writing clauses. You are not an attorney, or buyers and sellers trying to write things that are too vague, or they don't understand the content, so they don't know how to craft a very good explanation of what the escalation means and the guidelines for it and the items that have to happen. This, then that, this, then that. So now we have a specific form for the escalation clause. Most of us know what the escalation clause is. That means I'm willing to pay this amount, and I'm going to tell you now, if anybody else comes up close, I will beat them by this amount, but I need to see what that is. Speaking in sort of a general, vague perspective. So there is now, it's so common in our market that we're seeing the escalation clause, that people are just, hey, I'll give you this much, but if you get a little more, you get close to me, I'll beat them. So that's what that escalation clause is, and it's available to all the Florida Realtors. So stop writing your clauses. Stop trying to force it. Just use the tools that are available to us.
Love it. Thank you, Katey. Thank you. And Demitri, did you have anything else that you wanted to add lastly?
No, I'm sorry. I exhausted all my knowledge earlier.
All of it? Every single drop of it?
No. I always hold back a little bit, but that's for the next show.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys. Well, thank you to all of you guys for coming on here. Again, if you guys are watching and you guys haven't already followed each of these local professionals on their Facebook pages, make sure you do so. They always are putting out great information. And we are so thankful to have them onto our live here for Market Update Monday and just talk about everything that's going on in our market. So if you guys ever have any questions, my name again, if you didn't know already, was Lucie McGuire with Arrow Title Services. And we try to take your closing in the right direction every step we can, but we also loved educating our local community here on just what's going on and how best we can help you guys to know just a little bit more going forward. So I'd like to give a tip to if you guys are out there and you are looking to buy a house or sell your house, breathe. It's okay. Just take a breath. Breathe, husa. Talk to your local professionals, communicate, answer your phone, and that's my ending tip for this live. So thank you guys for joining us here every week that we come live, and we will see you guys again in the following weeks. And we hope you guys have an amazing rest of your week and happy Monday. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Lucie.